Hey, what's up? I'm Greg Bogus, and I've been doing a lot of research on YouTube lately. So I thought it'd be cool to build an agent that could do that research for me and then place the results of that research in the place where I keep all of my notes, which is Notion. And so in this video, we're going to build an agent using Pydantic AI, and then we're going to write some functions to work with the Notion API and the YouTube Data API. We will equip our agent with those functions. It can use them as tools and then let it run wild. And when I say we're going to write, what I mean is I'm going to write a little bit of code and then Cursor is going to write a lot of code. I had a lot of fun with this one. I hope you enjoy it. Pydantic AI is a framework for building AI agents. It's built by the same team that built Pydantic, and Pydantic has become one of the most widely used libraries in the Python ecosystem over the last couple of years. Let's just grab their hello world and get something going quickly here. I want to use Anthropic. I'll drop that in. Let's change this into a little bit of a chatbot so that we can interact with this. And in doing so, you'll see a little bit more about how this works. So we're gonna just ask the user for some input here, and then we will run the query. Run sync here means run synchronous. So we run the query as the user message. In fact, let's just, for the sake of clarity here, change this to user message. This will kind of get things started up here, but we're of course going to want to track the conversation. And so you can do that by doing this and adding a message history parameter. And inside of the result is this all messages method. This is a method. Make sure you get those parentheses on there, but that will pass in all of the messages from the conversation. We'll print that off, and then I believe we run this again. We should now have a chat. What's your name? All right, I'm Claude. What is a research assistant? Awesome. What is Notion? Cool. All right. So we have, in just a couple minutes and just a couple lines of code, we have built a functioning chatbot in Python that allows us to chat with Claude 3.5 Sonnet. To me, this is just still mind-blowing to me that this works, and it works in such few lines of code. It still makes me giddy at all the potential that exists in just something so simple here. Now, to work with the Notion API, you first need to do a little bit of setup. You're going to go to developers.notion.com. They have this docs here for build your first integration. And if you scroll down here, you'll see notion.com/my-integrations. I have created a new integration. I called this one Scribe. Here I have my Notion token. You can set permissions here. So I have permission set to read content, update content, and insert content. And then I'm just going to click save. And again, I set that API key or that Notion token as an environment variable. The name of that is Notion_token, all caps. And then once you have that set as an environment variable, you are set up and you're ready to start working with the API. One last bit of setup for our app. I'm going to create a new page. I'm going to call this page Scribe. And then I am going to set up a connection between this page and my Scribe integration that I have created. And now apps that I build with that Notion token that I just got will be able to access this page. You need to explicitly set up those connections between your app and the pages that it can have access to. Next, we're going to write some functions to interact with the Notion API. We are going to use the Notion SDK-Py library here. Now, one cool feature of Cursor is that you can add docs to it. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add the docs for the Notion API. And this will use those docs in a RAG, or retrieval augmented generation fashion, where it's going to retrieve snippets from the docs. Theoretically, this will eliminate or at least reduce hallucinations. You'll still see them for sure, but it does make things quite a bit better. Now we're going to ask Cursor to create a new Notion client. It's going to write 3 functions for us, one that gets a page, one that updates an existing page, and one that creates a new subpage. And because it has access to the documentation, we are going to hope that it has a better shot of getting this right on the first try. And here we see all of our changes. We will accept those. And we'll just give these a little once over. Not that I am familiar with the Notion helper library documentation at all, but we'll just give it a look and just see if this looks right. So we are importing OS, and then we are setting up the client using the Notion token environment variable that we've already set. We are getting a page by title. This does not look good. I don't think that we want to be using databases here. So this here we are using notion.pages.update. That seems more right. And this uses notion.pages.create. That seems plausible to me as well. Update this, I don't buy this either. You know, Notion operates with blocks. I have used the helper library a little bit. And so much of the editing in Notion, the fundamental unit is a block. So this sort of properties equals properties does not seem right to me. So I'm going to ask Cursor to use the Notion API docs and don't use databases. Instead, retrieve a page. And since Cursor was not able to one-shot this, I think I'll just do this one at a time. And this here, once again, get page by title, we're passing in a title, but it does not seem that we're actually using the title. So let's do this instead. Let's do write a function using Notion API that will retrieve all pages and then will return a page with a given title. And there we go. This is looking a little bit better. So now we're using Notion.search and we're going to retrieve the page. This does seem a little bit inefficient. I suspect there's a better way to do it, but for our purposes of just getting up and running, that'll be fine. I'm going to delete these for now. And we'll do this. And the idea here would be that we could search by a title of scribe and that we would get some sort of page object back. This feels about 50-50 if this is gonna work. Oh, we got something. All right, cool. So we did get an actual object back. You know, I do like, this is totally unnecessary, but I like this ice cream library. I've been using this recently. And from ice cream, import IC, and let's change this print to an IC, and let's run that again. Oh yeah, so much better. All right, so yeah, we can see this page object here. All right, so we can see that I just created this. This is today's date, created time 1:21. So now let's see if we can update this. Let's do write a function that adds a block to a page, accept a page object as a parameter, and content to be added to the page as well. Accept. All right, so see if this works. Let's see now if we can add block to page, hello world from Python. Let's see if this works. Just thinking. And then it seems like we got something. Look at that. It says hello world from Python. That's awesome. That worked the first try. And then let's try one more. Let's see if we can create subpages within this thing. We're going to say write a function that adds a subpage to a given page using Notion API. Again, no idea if that should work or not, but it feels like it's on a little bit of a roll. And we'll say, we'll call this subpage agent research, let's say. And let's run. Sure, we'll print off both of those. Did not throw an error. Look at that. We have a subpage called agent research. Fantastic. All right, so now we can retrieve pages. We can update pages or add content to pages, and we can create new pages. That's super exciting. And also super exciting, I didn't have to read the docs at all. We did get off to a little bit of a bumpy start, but once we narrowed down our request and we're a little bit more specific about what we were looking for, Cursor, with the help of the API documentation, was able to one-shot each of these. Well, maybe not quite one shot, but once we got one of them working, the get page by title working, it was able to one shot the add block to page and the add subpage to page methods. And that's pretty awesome. All right, now the question is, can we equip our agent with these functions and just have it figure out how to use them? Let's take the little mise en place bits that we need from Notion functions to start up the client. So we have created our client, and then next we are going to just copy our 3 functions into our agent.py. And now here's the cool part. If you have ever before worked with tool calling with the vanilla helper libraries for Claude or for OpenAI's models, you know that when you define a tool or define a function for your LLM to use, you have to create this pretty big verbose definition that takes the form of either a Python dictionary or a JSON object in which you define the function, so like the title of it, when to use it, or a description of the function, the parameters, description of what those parameters are, the types of those parameters, basically all the information that the LLM needs to figure out when and how to use your function. And the more descriptive you are there, the more reliable that LLM or that agent will be. But then on top of that big, long, verbose definition, you also need to, create your function. So there's a lot of duplication there. Pydantic AI abstracts all of that away. We've already created our function. We have here a doc string that defines what our function is and describes it. We have our parameters here. We have our title. And all we need to do to equip our agent with these functions is to add the agent.toolplane decorator. And then Pydantic AI will create the function definition that is passed along to the LLM in the call. So we will decorate each of our 3 functions with agent.toolplane. And from there, this might just work. So if we run agent.py again, look at this. On our very first interaction, all we've said here to the agent is hello. And if we come back and we look at the system message, the system prompt is be concise, reply with 1 sentence. We have not anywhere in our messages to the LLM told it that it has access to Notion. The only way that it knows that it has access to Notion is because we added these decorators to these functions. And then Pydantic AI used the doc string and the title of the function and the parameters to inform the LLM what tools it had available to it. So already right off the bat, this is pretty cool, right? The agent, the LLM now knows what sort of functions it has and what features it has, and it's telling us now what it can do. So let's say retrieve the page called scribe, add to it a subpage called YouTube title ideas. On that page, create 10 new title ideas for a YouTube video about Pydantic AI and Notion API. I feel like I'm asking this thing to do a lot here. I'm asking for it to not only create a subpage, but then to get the ID of that subpage and to populate that subpage with text. So I don't know. We'll see. This is a lot. There's a lot of complexity here, and it thinks that it worked. So let's go look. And look at that. We have on our page scribe, we have YouTube title ideas. And if I click in there, I have 10 titles. That's pretty cool. We had an agent. We created functions. We just decorated those functions with a single line per function. And that was it. Then all of a sudden that agent could just do stuff. like it could now update this page, create a new page. It did a fairly complex operation there. You know, it from, again, on its first try, figured out how to retrieve a page, figured out how to create a subpage. So it's using those 3 functions. It figured out what order to use them in. I mean, all of this is like pretty impressive. So now we just have a chatbot that can interact with Notion. All right, I guess we did call this a research agent. So that would imply that we're going out to the internet and doing some stuff, not just having the LLM make up things and write them to a page, although that's certainly pretty useful on its own. So in a previous video, I had done some work with the YouTube data API. I already have an environment variable set up for the YouTube data API, and I have installed the helper library. If you want to see some more of those details, you can check out the previous video. Use the YouTube data API to write a function that will search for videos with a specific query. We are going to search YouTube videos. Let's do max results. Let's get 20. I don't know if we can do that, but we might be able to. And cool, it looks like this works. And let's do a search here for Pydantic AI, and you can see that works again. First try, we got some pretty good data back. Okay, and then this initial call does not return a ton of detail about each video, and we would like to get more detail. And so write a function that returns details of each video given a video ID from YouTube. So we basically had our search function, and then this is going to be like our show function. And it's pretty cool how it just sort of knows the schema. We'll see if it works or not. And let's do, yeah, so this is going to get the video details of the first one, and we'll see if that works. And indeed it did. So here's the details from this video from Sam. We can see the comment count, the description, we have the duration, the number of likes, the view count, when it was published, and the title. So this is all awesome. So now we're gonna do just the same thing that we did before, now that we know that these functions work on their own. And we are going to just copy those functions over to our agent. Paste those in, and we will decorate them with agent tool plain. Cursor already knows what we want to do. And now we will try to run, and we're going to tell it to search YouTube for Pydantic AI, get the view count for 10 videos, write the data to a new page under the page called Scribe in Notion. So there's 5 different tools here, I think, that this is going to have to use in order to successfully complete this task. So for context here, I cut out, there's probably about a minute here that passed, but it says successfully collected and wrote view count data for 10 Pydantic AI videos to a new Notion page. Let's go see if it did. And here we have Scribe. We have a new page called Pydantic AI YouTube data. And under there, we have data. Let's just double check to make sure that this was not hallucinated. We have this video from Sam. This video has 33,000 views, which is what you can see that we wrote here. So that's pretty amazing. So a few changes I need to make here before this is truly useful. Ideally, I could just trigger everything from within Notion. Notion has buttons that can fire off a post request to a webhook. So if I tidy up my script a bit, I host it somewhere, then I could have Notion trigger it. I'll experiment on that a little bit, but for just getting up and running, this is pretty amazing. Cursor wrote almost all the code for us. Pydantic AI allowed us to tie together an LLM with functions that we knew worked. And then the agent was able to successfully decide what tools to use. It was using 5 different tools. It was getting so many things right on the first try. This is actually pretty exciting.